What a day. Hello, welcome back to Skyrocket Automotive and welcome back to Saturday Club. Thank you to everybody who watched the video on whether you should or shouldn't daily drive a classic car. We got the answer, it's yes. Elephant in the room, very quickly. It's Saturday for me right now when I'm filming this, therefore it's a Saturday Club. That's just how it goes sometimes with Saturday Club. The day's come. You've got your classic car up and running for the first time in a while, or you've finally decided to take the plunge, go to a show, you took it to the shops, whatever it is. Now, the fun bit, the best feeling in the world. You get to daily drive it. If you want to, obviously. It's just one of the coolest feelings in the world. You're just, even when they're reliable, you're just so proud of this old thing, keeping up with modern traffic and just standing out a bit, showing that it's not all about getting to 15 years old and crush them into Coke cans. It's a nice feeling. So without further ado, let's get on with it. How do you go about driving classic cars daily? Well, this isn't going to be an instruction manual, but it is definitely going to be a series of things that I think you're going to find very, very useful. And things I wish I knew when I first started. It would have saved me a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, because that's not why we're here. We're here to have fun. Okay, everybody's favourite peril of modern motoring, traffic. They're great. Them other cars on the road, they're awesome. Especially when they won't move out of my way and they just sit there. Or they're on their phone. It takes them 30 minutes to pull forward because they're not paying attention. Cool, we can't do anything about the traffic. But, generally speaking, your classic car should have absolutely no trouble keeping itself cool. When we're talking about engine temperatures, by the way, all of these temperatures are relevant to the car. So when I say cool, I'm talking like between 70 and 85 degrees Celsius. That's what the car considers operating temperature. It's completely happy there. When it creeps up past that, your thermostat should open, your cooling fan should come on because the temperature sensor's gone, oh, time to go. Cooling fan on. Okay, I'm not going over the whole technical versus basics thing again. We're through it, right? We're all here under one umbrella. Let's keep classic cars on the road. And that means that some of us need to know a bit more info than others. The basics aspect of this thing is, what is a radiator? How does a car's cooling system do its job? The engine generates an awful lot of heat. That heats up the water pump pushes it through the radiator when the thermostat's open, pushes it through the radiator. The radiator is full of little fins to increase the surface area. Your cooling fan either pulls or pushes air through the radiator, takes cold air through the radiator, which draws the heat out of that coolant that's inside the radiator. The coolant is then pumped back into the engine, having been significantly cooled down, where it picks up more heat, goes back to the radiator, so on and so forth. So theoretically, your car should keep itself cool. If it's not, you've probably got cooling system problems, and I wouldn't mind betting you probably found this out in part one. Blocked radiators, stuck thermostats, antifreeze that's gone bad, antifreeze that's incorrectly concentrated, a temperature sensor not doing its job and not turning the fan on. These are all reasons why your cooling system may get a bit roasty. The good news is, there's a way around this in an emergency or in a pinch. So you're sitting in traffic on a hot summer's day and your temperature gauge starts to creep up and up and up. Don't panic, don't panic. Heater controls, take your heater control temperature all the way to as hot as it will go, and turn your blower motor up all the way. Your blower motor is now blowing air through a little radiator under your dashboard. That's how your heater works. Open all the vents that send hot air out because it will help the heat to dissipate and it will get rid of the heat more quickly from under your dash. Additionally, it also means that you're not cooking your face. You'll end up medium rare. This is not going to be necessarily the most comfortable thing in the world for you. All you need to do is crack a window. As far down as you can get it, to be honest with you, because you want some nice cool air working its way back into the car. I guarantee you, if you've got antifreeze in your system and your water pump's working, that needle will start to come straight back down again. Just do that, wash, rinse, repeat until you get where you need to be. When you get to where you need to be, if the car, I don't know, say you're going to a car show, you're sitting in a queue at a car show, this is a great example. It's stop and go, nose to tail traffic, and you slowly pull into your spot at the classic show and you stop. Don't turn the engine off straight away, because as soon as you turn the engine off, your water pump stops. If you've got a car with a mechanical fan, your fan stops and the heat can't go anywhere. Let it idle for a little while with the blower motor running full chat. Open your bonnet, ideally, would be good, because it helps you get some airflow through the engine bay. Most classic cars don't have under trays. So you open that bonnet, the heat rises. As the hot air rises, you get cool air coming in up underneath the car, and it all helps. Just get the car that you don't have to idle it for 4 hours, just get it down to normal operating temperature and then switch it off. You should be fine. Then, at your earliest convenience, check out the cooling system. Check that your antifreeze is concentrated correctly, check that your thermostat is opening, all that stuff. And you can find videos all over YouTube about that, so I don't necessarily need to go through it. But if you'd like me to go through it, let me know. I'll be more than happy. I forgot to mention, I have 2 cameras now. Don't worry, it's not going to make the videos good. Okay, one of my biggest pet peeves. Why are modern car headlights so bright? We've got Nigel back there doing his level best, bless his heart. He's doing a great job, I'll give him that. To dazzle us. Now, this one may end up being a bit of a controversial one, but I'm telling you, it's the real world. You're driving down the road, you've had a long day at work, and you've got this happening. You can't see where you're going properly because this is reflecting straight back at you. Don't be afraid to. You know there's a car behind you, right? He's blinding you. He's got his brights on. He's just driving a modern Skoda or something with a stupid set of headlights. You'll be pleased to know they're looking at changing the law. Take hold of your adjuster for your mirror. Just move it outwards or upwards or downwards. Whatever you can do. You can see the difference that's making, right? Now, we're not looking to blind this guy, all right? Let's not be mean-spirited about it. That's not what it's about. We just want that to stop dazzling us. You can still see them in your rear view mirror. When you dip your rear view mirror, they're prismatic. It's multiple layers of glass at different angles so that you can still see what's behind you, just a dimmer version of it. Now, you may argue you should not ever adjust your mirrors like blah, blah, blah. Right, fair enough. But this is the way I'm going to look at it. It's far more dangerous to not be able to see where you're going at night than it is to see very, very slightly less of where you've been. Just tweak your mirror down, and then as you're going along the road, you can just adjust it again. You'll get used to it. The more you drive your car, you know where that mirror should be without even thinking about it. And you can just dip it down like that, drivey. Our matey boy's turned off now, I'll raise the mirror back up. I haven't even got to take my eyes off the road. As for oncoming vehicles, which are just generally irritating, there's 2 things you can do. A lot of sun visors will flop right forward up under the windscreen. That can take the edge off if it's a particularly large 4x4. They also sell those yellow sunglasses that my wife swears by because she gets chronic headaches at night because of this old boy back here. Turn them down, man. Headaches went away straight away. Can see more clearly at night. Worth a look. Worth a look. They do actually work. Give it up for Nigel, everybody. What a performance, young man. As you can see, this charming young man has upgraded headlight bulbs. These will pass an MOT. I need to adjust the aim on that one, funnily enough, but they will pass an MOT. The beam pattern is correct. They work with the type of headlight assembly. All good. Now, you need to check. Now, you could argue against originality, yes, fair enough, but we're daily driving cars here, and in a world where headlights are so bright, we got to do something, because it's getting pretty crazy out there, I must admit. Now, you don't have to go down the LED route. These are blue. I'm not keen on the way they look, but they work. Oh boy, do they work. They do all manner of headlight bulbs nowadays in various different shades, but the best ones I feel you can get are from your average high street retailer such as Halfords, not sponsored, just, I buy a lot of stuff from Halfords, all right? I think they're good. Then my consumables bill would go down if I was. Anyway, you can buy upgraded bulbs of varying extremity. They also have, and this is where you need to be mindful, they do sell certain bulbs that weren't legal for road use. If you want to upgrade bulbs, fill your boots. All they need is to be compliant with the type of light you've got. The beam pattern needs to be correct. They need to be aimed correctly so that you don't blind other drivers. And they need to work with your wiring. It's no use sticking some super power hungry bulbs up front here and expecting that to fix a damaged wiring harness. Because if your wiring harness is damaged and you try and pull a load more amps through it, all that's going to happen is you're going to melt your wiring harness. So just check. Ask a garage, talk to a mechanic, just get some advice. But potentially for like 25 quid, you can end up with headlight bulbs that are on a par with cars from about 20 years ago, because modern headlight bulbs are absolutely ridiculous. But all you need is the sort of brightness we had 20 years ago. And that's pretty much all these are. Again, I'm not keen on the colour, but they do yellow ones, they do white ones. I know a lot of people run Osram night breakers in theirs. Personally, I used to run the Hella ones, the upgraded Hella ones, and then I must admit, when I started working at Halfords, I got staff discount, so sue me. I used to buy them from Halfords because I got them cheaper. But they do uprated headlight bulbs of all types as well. So shop around, you never know what you're going to find. Just make sure, for Christ's sake, that they're roadworthy, make sure they're legal for use, make sure they don't ruin your headlight aim. And if you don't do any of that and you get pulled over and bollocked by a copper, don't send them my way, because I'll tell them I told you so. Hello there. Ooh, star. Okay, we're back in the test Golf. Now, here's one I really wish I knew in my younger days when my Speedo drive chewed itself up. I'm not patronising you here, but there is a very, very handy emergency tool built in to this lot here. Obviously, this is your Speedo, and this is your rev counter. Now, I've always found it surprising that this doesn't connect, but when it connected with me, it was like learning how to make a steak properly. I was like, where's this been all my life? So, on the dash, you have a Speedo and you have a rev counter. Obviously, this is telling you engine speed. This tells you engine speed regardless of how fast the car's going. Now, on occasion, particularly if you've got a car with a dirty Speedo cable and it bump, bump, bump up and down when you're going down the road, this can be handy for that too. Or this guy just checks out. Now imagine we're going down the road at 40 mile an hour, bump. Speedo's dead. We're driving. Not actually driving, but we're driving. What do? How fast am I going? There's a speed camera there. We learn what our rev counter is telling us at a certain speed. I happen to know on these cars with this gearbox, in 5th gear, when you're doing 40 miles an hour, the rev counter sits bang on 2000 RPM. Now, on this gearbox, you find you get 500 RPM for every 10 miles an hour. So, what I mean by that is at 40, this is doing 2000 RPM. You add 500 RPM to that, that gets you to that line there, for example. That's 50 miles an hour. 3000 RPM, 60 miles an hour. You now never need to worry, again, if your Speedo cable goes down. You never need to worry about getting done by a speed camera if you've got a Speedo that flaps in the breeze and it's just not quite right. If you just drive around knowing the speed you're doing by having a quick look at the rev counter rather than the Speedo, that Speedo needle can be throwing itself all over the dashboard. It could be chucking itself over to the passenger side of the car. Makes no odds, because you've got this guy. And guess what? The way that the vast amount of these tachometers are wired up, if that stops working, it's because your ignition system's playing up. You're very, very likely to not have a running engine if your tachometer is not working. When I first wrapped my head around that, that was a game changer. I no longer had to worry because my Sirocco was really struggling with a bouncy Speedo needle. I just didn't have to bother anymore, didn't have to worry about it. I fixed it eventually, but in the meantime, you might not be able to get one. I don't know, if you need to, say your Speedo has completely stopped working and you need to get to work because you're daily in your Classic, it just doesn't matter now. Just take a few minutes and figure it out. You can do this with a drive around the block or on a cruising speed. Play a game with yourself. When you check the speed, go, okay, I'm at 40 and it's doing 2000 RPM, and then carry on driving. Just make a mental note of that for a little while, and after a while, you just learn it. That's very loud. Well, that was a nice big splash from the Skyrocket Continuity Dolphin, wasn't it? Security. You like your car. You don't want it getting stolen. Fair. That's fair. I understand. So, oh, thanks, Nige. He's just helped me out there. In one of the age-old traditions of the old way sometimes being the best way, This is a steering wheel lock, stop lock, crook lock, whatever you want to call it. They do all kinds of different ones. They do the big round one. I prefer these personally, and this is what Nigel's got. These are so good. A lot of police forces, you're not allowed to say that anymore, are you? It's as for hot fuzz. I don't know what they call them in the film. Anyway, a lot of police recommend, even with modern cars, like I think it was the Focus RS or the Focus ST, was able to be pinched in seconds with an OBD scanner. The police, even for modern cars, went back to recommending these. What does that tell you? Anyway, these are quite straightforward to use. So you put your steering lock on, which Nigel's very kindly already demonstrated for us. Good old boy. If you've got a car that's a bit bigger than a Mini, I tend to try and shoot for between the windscreen and the A-pillar because it locks the steering wheel in both directions unless they feel like popping the windscreen out of your car. Nigel, on the other hand, he's a little too small, so we're going to have to go forwards. But yeah, just like that. I've got no keys. I've got no fans. I've got no ground. Sweetheart, could you chuck me Nigel's keys, please? I forgot to bring them in. They're on the shelf, I think. I don't think I've left them anywhere else, anyway. On the desk? On the other side of the desk? They've got the Rover fob. Oh, I'm really sorry, my darling. They were under my jacket. Sorry. They were under my jacket in such a place that nobody can find them. I told you, I'm hard to work with. What can I say? Right, so this guy, you put the key in and rotate. The clamp goes in. You lock him. There we go. Now, not only have you got the steering lock to contend with, if you try and get any steering angle round, you're going to take your own legs off. You try and go around that way, it's going to jam against the windscreen. So even if they break the steering lock, they can't turn the steering wheel. They also do a set of pedal locks, depending on your make and model. Obviously, they're not made for everything, but they do steel plate that goes up between the clutch and brake pedal. It's like that. Clutch pedal, brake pedal. Other way around on that, sorry. Clutch pedal, brake pedal. And then a lock goes down, and there's a monster great honking padlock. Those are my favourite, but they are a pain in the backside to fit on the daily. You got to kneel down to undo them. It depends. They also do ones for handbrakes, gear sticks. Pick your poison, basically. But the good old crook lock is still one of the safest, most cost-effective ways of stopping somebody from pinching your favourite classic. And when you're ready to leave, you're done. And then you're away. Bollocks. As you can see, our co-producer Nigel here has just come up with a very good point. What do you do if your battery goes flat? Well, not sponsored, personal preference, and only because I tried a couple of crap ones before I went out and bought one of these, is a no-co boost, but generally anything, really, with a lithium-ion battery that's capable of cranking your engine will get you out of the weeds, as it were. So, Nigel's battery is in his bum. Just in there, look. Yeah, quite straightforward really. You keep your jump pack fully charged, and then you go positive to positive, negative to negative. Now, when you turn the jump pack on, well, this one in particular, it should start automatically charging the battery if there's any battery voltage. If your battery's totally dead, at that point you press the override button. You need to do this to make sure that your battery is connected the right way around to the jump pack, because that override's there for a reason. But yeah, you can hold that down for 5 seconds when you're sure the battery's connected properly, and it will just feed her. Won't turn the relay on and off or anything like that. And that should allow you to start the engine. Obviously, if you've got an electric fuel pump, let it prime up first. And then I would recommend that you check out your alternator, / get somebody to check out your alternator. The other thing is, you're also going to be hero of the week. If you keep this thing in your boot or a glove box and somebody else is stuck with a flat battery, you can help them out. It's your good deed for the day. Let's help each other keep our cars on the road. Cheese, 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 cheese. Oh, come on now. It wouldn't be a Saturday club without the sofa, would it? Right, let's get a little bit boring for a brief period and talk about fuel. This is a very controversial topic. What fuel do I run in my classic car? Now, if you want to play it safe, you want to go for the stuff that's got the absolute minimum amount of ethanol in it, because, and I've seen it happen, ethanol will eat rubber fuel hoses if the rubber fuel hoses are not designed for it. Best case scenario, they swell up and seal up, and then you get fuel starvation. That's the best thing to happen, because the next option is they crack, break, or split, and spray petrol all over your engine bay, all over your hot exhaust, and burn the car to the ground. I don't want to scare you. That's just how it is. With that said, this is anecdotal evidence, okay? And if you're doing any sort of research, you should know anecdotes, they are not proof. I've been running my Skyrocket on E10 since I put it back on the road. Just balls basic, standard fuel. Thus far, I've had no problems. Again, this video is supposed to be something that's helpful, and it's supposed to be advice. I cannot be held liable if you choose to do that and you have a problem. You should be changing your fuel lines to be ethanol compliant. I personally have had no trouble running my car on E10. You might. That just has to be your choice. I would argue, if you're running E5, if you're in a position to be able to afford to run your car on E5, just do it. Because before the days of ethanol, premium fuels were premium for a reason, and they are premium. They have a higher octane rating, so you can run a little bit more ignition advance and gain a little bit more performance without knock, or just run your car as it is without knock, which means engine temperatures, knock generates extra heat. It's a whole thing. We can go into it if you're interested. I would advise E5, but if you're in a, what I'm saying is, if you're in a pinch, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you run your car on E5 and you're about to run out of petrol, you shouldn't do because of our conversation about the jerry can in the first video, but we're human, life happens. You're not gonna go down the road in a ball of flame because you put E10 in your car to get you to the next petrol station so you could fill up on E5. You just won't. So there's no hard and fast advice there, and I will not accept anybody taking that as hard and fast advice. That is just the lay of the land. What you choose to do regarding the fuel you run is completely up to you. A lot of people run Momentum or Shell V-Power and have loads of success. My Skyrocket, bless its heart, will run on any old swill, as far as I can tell, and I've had no issues with the fuel lines. I do check them. I've got no signs of cracking at all. But this is why you should never take anecdotal evidence at face value, because I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you, I can't remember when I changed the fuel lines on that car. And it could have been that I changed the fuel lines on that car with ethanol compliant lines. And that might be why I'm not having any trouble. It's all well and good for one of those cocksure guys who's like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, to sit there and tell you they've never had a problem, but the why is very important. And I don't know why, but I've run mine on E10 and it's fine. So maybe that's an anecdotal evidence piece as to the fact that if you change your fuel lines, you should be fine to run on E10. That whole thing may end up getting cut. Right, lead replacements are very important for some cars. This is going to be one of those things where you need to do some research. For example, I've heard on the grapevine that old Albert out there, depending on the displacement of O-Series engine that those ambassadors came with, some could run on unleaded fuel, some had to run on leaded fuel, but they're both O-Series engines. So worth a look. If you need to buy an additive, I like this stuff, Wins Substiplom. I don't use a lead additive replacement type beat very often anymore, but yeah, they work. What they do is they put a coating on all your valve seats, all the bingles in the engine, at the top end of the engine that needed the lead. The whole reason for the lead was to basically, the lead creates like a cushion, it's like a deposit around mating faces on older engines. That's what leaded fuel was all about. Then they realised it was killing everyone, so they removed the lead. Now, I don't tend to bring politics into this channel very often, but I'd say that's probably fair enough. Anywho, right, the way you use one of these, ultimately whatever product you pick is up to you. but the way you use one of these, I would recommend getting the one with the doser. They're very much like the old 2-stroke oil cans, but you've got this bingle at the top. You require 1 milliliter per litre of petrol. So basically, this is a 250 ml bottle. This will treat 250 litres of fuel. You've got graduations. Let me get off my fat lazy ass and show you. You've got your graduations just there. It's pretty simple, to be honest, because it's a milliliter per litre. So if I'm putting 10 litres of fuel in, it's the bottom mark. Very clever bit of design, this. You squeeze the bottle. In fact, you know what? Just because it's fun, I'm going to go for 25 ml. So you've put 25 litres of fuel in. It's a non-return valve, you see that? Okay. And now we've got our dosage of lead replacement to fuel. Cap off. Down the hatch. No, don't. For Christ's sake, don't do that. It's lethally poisonous. And you just tip that into your fuel filler. Happy days. If you put 50 litres in, you just do that twice. So on and so forth. That's how you use a lead replacement. That's fuel additives. Basically, I tend to not bugger about with them too much. Tend to find using the right fuel for your car in enough of a rotation that it's constantly got fresh fuel because you're driving it will keep your car far healthier than any magic lotions and potions. With that said, if you are parking your car for a long time, it couldn't hurt to throw some dry fuel in it in case you get water in the tank. But realistically, if you're storing the car in any reasonable fashion, you probably won't be getting water in your tank. That's my take. It's a controversial one. I know you're all going to disagree. That's fine. That's what opinions are for. Now, the next thing, and then we'll get on to some more in the car stuff. And then I think we're pretty much done, to be honest. Keeping your car clean. So these three are mainstays here. T-cut, resin polish, wax. Car detailers, this isn't for you, all right? This stuff got us by just fine for many, many years. Oh, it smells so good. I've got a couple of customers who have gotten in touch to say that their car's been under a cover outside and it's gone green, or the paint's starting to look patchy because the cover's rubbing and it's holding moisture in. Again, it's all about letting the car breathe. And my advice to them is always the same thing. Give it a really, really good wash. Maybe run some T-cut over it or resin polish. Get the paint as slick as snot off of a whip, right? A really good coat of wax. Buff the car to within an inch of its life, right? You should be able to put a droplet of water on it and it just trickles off. And leave it uncovered. If it's sitting around for a long time, give it another wash. That's all you should need. Just look after your paintwork. People forget paintwork is a protective coating to protect the metal underneath. It's glossy so that it's easy to keep clean. So while, yes, presentation is very important, paint's actual job is to protect the car. So the paint doesn't need protecting. The paint needs keeping clean so it can do its job, essentially. So, how do we keep the car clean in the wet? And the cold, and the salt, and all that? Ford product from the 80s. Guess what these like to do? That's right, they like to rust. Look down the side of this Capri. Straight as a die. Immaculate. Capris love to go all around the rear arches. Now, let me show you something. This car's spotless. This car lives in a garage. It's only been potted about a couple of times in the owner's life. Guarantee it. That is what causes rust. The road wheel throws stuff up inside the wheel arches and down onto this front dog leg. The trouble with mud and road dirt is it loves water. As soon as you get water up under there, or road salt or whatever, it sticks to the dirt, that holds it against the metal. That starts the chemical reaction going. Rust and oxidization basically is like a car battery, and that's what helps the rust to really set in. How do you keep something like this clean when you're driving it through the winter? Very simple. Take it to a car wash, or when you're washing it at home, get your pressure washer in here. They do a lance that points back on itself, so you like that. blast these wheel arches out, get all down into the dog legs, the arch tubs over towards the back there. Just kick the living daylights out of it. Pressure wash the lot. Front and back. Another favourite place where stuff likes to rust, as you can see, this car is one of them cars, is up under valances. Again, this old boy hasn't done a lot of work, but it's still there, waiting. Just waiting for its opportune moment to start corroding. On this clipper, another favourite place where damage likes to set in from exposure. Seems this crap is what dry rots your rubbers, or it will sit in here and then you get a run of rain and you start thinking that your car's really hating being outside and it's deteriorating because there's all these track marks down here. Oh no, what do I do? For example, that's where you focus when you're cleaning. Get all this stuff off. What I'm saying is, don't neglect your paintwork, but the paintwork will thank you for getting into the finer details around here where all this crap sits, because the next stop is your paint. And after that, down into here. And then once it gets into there, it can track round, start rusting your wheel arches. Mixed feelings about under seal products such as Lanagard and things like that. It works quite well from what I've been able to tell. There was a guy who had a 1 series back in the days when I was at This Is Your Garage, and he did that when it was about 6 months old and the car still looked brand new underneath, which is fair, but he did have to keep reapplying it every 6 months. I don't know what the cost offset works out at. You're better off just making that decision for yourself. You could consider using perhaps a bed liner paint or something like that in wheel arches or common stone chip areas and then paint it body colour. It depends how far you want to go. Ultimately, you can't go far wrong just keeping your car clean. That sounds like such a patronising thing, but I really mean it. It's amazing the difference that just a nice, clean, slippery paint job can do for keeping rust at bay. Servicing. As far as vehicle servicing, when it's out on the road, just follow the manual. If the oil changes are every 5,000 miles, change them every 5,000 miles. Sooner if you want to. But to be honest with you, your car's going to be far happier running regardless. So the benefits of driving the car around, even if you want to be on a bit of a more casual, laid-back service interval, like some of us, the benefits of running the car far outweigh all of that sort of stuff. All right, I've talked at you for quite long enough. Let's go and have a little chat about cadence braking and some other bits and bobs. I'm in a bit of danger of losing some weight getting in and out of cars every 5 minutes on this video. I don't know what's going on with me. Very active today. No? It's just normal, is it? Okay, all right, yep, all right. No, it's fair. Anyway, the next section is going to be on driving classic cars. Again, this isn't an instruction manual. These are just things that might help you. Things you may not know. If you know them, you may not know the next thing. If you know it all, what are you here for? If I go out driving, the footage is going to suck, and I don't want to be distracted at the wheel. The site's quite busy today. You don't need it anyway. Think of it like this. Instead of me putting sauce on your burger, I've given you the sauce in little pots, and you can decide if you want to dip or not. Driving a classic car is very much like driving any other car. The only main difference is awareness and just generally giving yourself a little bit of extra time. Maybe you just slightly increase your follow distance. So, fair enough. One thing that modern cars have got over classic cars is brakes. You can't argue with a disc that round and 27 pot calipers, triple ABS, an ECU control, and it puts the hazards on for you, and you drive along like that and you're not paying attention because you drive a modern, so you're on your phone and you're playing with your iPad, you're playing Angry Birds. Oh my God! And you can just panic and slam the brakes on and the car does everything for you. Classic cars don't do that. And if you try, you're probably going to end up facing the other way, which fair, at least you won't have to look at the car you're about to hit up the arse, you go bum to bum. But still, let's maybe try not to do that. First things first, defensive driving. And I don't mean SAS spec, assuming everyone's after you driving. This is different to being worried about an accident. Just plan. What if this? What if that? And you'll find, if you've anticipated all the potential hazards on the road, you chill out. If you chill out, you're relaxed. You make good decisions. You don't panic. So what I'm saying is, very much like a motorbike, the best riders assume that no one else on the road can see them, and they ride carefully. They don't ride like wimps, but they ride carefully. Assume that your headlights aren't bright enough. They are, but assume that they're not, and that the person pulling out of that junction down there isn't paying attention. Just anticipate. What are they doing? Are they... Or are they... Tarquin, be quiet! Because chances are, if they're Tarquin, be quiet, as opposed to checking like this, they're probably going to just send it, and you may not be able to stop it. So just maybe, just take your foot off the throttle. Give a couple of seconds, all seems good. Right, wicked. And off you go. As a result of that, braking. Now, we have pedal cam. I don't know how well you can see it because I've got thighs the size of individual walruses. Walruses? Waltupi. So driving down the road, when you're braking, right, let's just start. Normal braking is how you would slow down in a normal car. You might want a little bit more braking effort at the pedal. See how you feel. See how the car feels. You don't want to be locking your wheels up. As soon as you lock your front wheels up, the ABS ain't there for most classic cars, and it ain't going to help you because it doesn't exist. So you can work out how much braking effort you can put in within reason before your front wheels lock up. Once you've sussed that out, you know how far you can take it. You'll be quite surprised, actually, how far a classic car can go as far as stopping. Clancy Brithenhive V is driving his brand new Audi e-tron, and he's not paying attention. He's opening, he's got a bag of Werther's Original. And he looks up, Childing Road, carrying a very expensive vase full of explosives. He's in the road. Now our guy in front, he just on the hammers. Well, we need to slow down too. So this is an old thing. It was a standard thing back in the day, but they don't really teach it anymore, and it's called cadence braking. Bit of that. You can practice cadence braking anywhere where there's not traffic. I'd recommend trying it in a car park late at night if there's no cars around. Obviously, you don't want to be having an accident, smashing. But yeah, it's surprising. An empty car park or a trading estate, somewhere like that, when it's empty and there's nobody about, so there's nobody you can annoy, there's no one you can get into an accident with or injure, and just try it. So 20, 30 mile an hour and accident happen. Literally that. You get the practice. It's going to be horrible for you, but what you're doing is getting the brakes to their absolute limit, and just before they start to break traction, you're backing off again. It's amazing how spending maybe 50% of the time not braking improves your braking distance over having your foot on the brake the entire time and your brakes lock up. So practice cadence braking. Also, when you're doing an emergency stop in a classic car and you're doing cadence braking, you also need to pay attention to the clutch, because say you're in third gear or second gear and you're doing this, if you get down almost to a halt and your foot is off the clutch, the car's going to try and carry on pulling itself forward. But likewise, if you dip the clutch, you're wasting a load of braking effort because the engine will do braking for you. So what you want to be doing is ideally going off down the road. I'm not a driving instructor. This is not what this is. I'm just trying to help, right? Going off down the road, emergency cadence brake down almost at a stop and clutch in. Practice. I can't practice for you. There's no point in me showing you this in a car park because you're not there, and whatever car I'll be driving is going to be different to your car. You need to get used to how your car feels. All right? So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Coming almost to a stop, dip the clutch. Slowly ease down on the brakes. Yeah, defensive driving, as I said earlier, I touched on it, but this can mean multiple things. Just assume everybody on the road can't see you. All right, just anticipate people pulling out on you, anticipate people slamming on their brakes, little things like that, really. And outside of that, they're not that much different to driving a modern car. All I'm doing, really, is telling you the few little details that vary between a modern and a classic. And as you can see, there's not loads. I've basically told you to drive a little bit more aware than you maybe would in a modern car without all the modern mod cons. I've told you about cadence braking, which is pretty much replicating a slightly slower version of ABS, but it works. It worked for a long time before ABS came in. ABS is a wonderful thing. You won't hear me arguing about it, but classic cars, not all of them have ABS. Not all of them need ABS, in fairness. A lot of them are so light, you're going to really struggle to not stop one in an emergency. But practice, and then you haven't got to worry. It goes back to the thing about preparedness, doesn't it? If you know what to do in an emergency, it's that thing we talked about earlier. It's all about preparedness. If you know what to do in an emergency, it just becomes second nature. Now you can turn the key off and jump out and ask old mate what his problem is. Now this Golf is currently raised up by about that much on the lift. Lift's very stable. We're still on the ground, but the weight's lifted off the wheels. And that's probably actually not a far off approximation of how one of these feels with power steering. Without power steering, you have a Sirocco. I have a Sirocco in there actually, a new guest, only a short stay guest, but maybe we go over to the Sirocco and I'll show you about that. Aquaplaning. Now, believe it or not, this isn't as bad in a classic. What is slightly more tricky in a classic is there are less assists, so you feel that something's happening more than you would on a modern car. Modern car tyres are very wide, and because they're very wide, you end up with aquaplaning. Classics do it too, particularly if your tyres are maybe a little bit on the worn side. The important thing with aquaplaning, if you hit water and it starts to pull you that way, don't snatch the wheel, because what's happening is your tyre is being lifted by the water. The tyre can't move the water out of the way quickly enough, and it has the effect of like skating across it. Now, why don't you wrench the wheel? Because that water's going to come to an end soon. It's only a puddle. And if you panic and you've got 90 degrees of steering lock on at 40 mile an hour, when you get through that, your car's going to grip and it's going to piss off that way. And that way is where the traffic is. And the reason I say about that is because most aquaplaning happens towards the passenger side of the car, especially, obviously we're in Britain, because our roads are an absolute worldwide embarrassment, and our drains are all blocked. So, naturally, that's a problem. Anyway, yeah, so with aquaplaning, you want to just ease off the power and guide the car back on the straight and narrow. You're fighting the force of the car being pulled over that way. So if it's pulling you that way, you want to just gently, you want to be in a position where you can then correct if you need to. You probably won't need to correct. It probably won't be that severe, but I've had some pretty squeaky moments on the M40. There's a couple of sections on the M40 that are real bad for aquaplanes, and I got caught out once at 60 mile an hour and it was not a good scene. It wasn't raining. I was driving down the road and I pulled over into the left-hand lane, and there was a lorry ahead doing a similar thing, and he hit the puddle. My windscreen got blasted with water, which was enough of a whoa, steady on, and then I hit the puddle that he hit, and I had to... You're not spinning out, is what I'm trying to say. It feels like you're losing control of the car, but the car is just momentarily being pulled to the left or the right. You get what I'm saying? If you hit a puddle square on, you should never hit a body of water fast. But if you hit a puddle square on, generally the car just slows down like that and then picks itself back up again. Yeah, the important thing, just foot off the throttle, let the car recover, because as you slow down, particularly if it's a front wheel drive car, for example, but you'll find it's the front wheels or front wheel that will lift. Now, you're cruising at 60. If you take your foot off the throttle, that's a lot of momentum to lose with the water resistance as well. And normally, the weight of the car will tip forwards, put a bit more pressure on that wheel, and the fact that you're slowing down gives the water more time to move out of the way, and you'll recover your grip, and then you can just roll back into the throttle. This can all happen in a matter of seconds, which that makes it sound like it's all going to happen in a matter of seconds. But what I mean is, it's over real quick. It's not, if you're ready for it, it's not a big deal. Like I say, your car now, your modern car nowadays has steer-by-wire and ABS and traction control and all this other shit. It does it all for you. You just need to replicate what these modern systems were invented to stop people from having to do stuff themselves. So you just need to go back to return to monkey, basically. What is that system for? It's to cadence brake for you. Okay, well, I'll learn how to cadence brake, so on and so forth. Here we have a Volkswagen Sirocco. He's a very, very nice Volkswagen Scirocco too. Let me get the keys. This lovely little Rocco's in for a load of work, as you can see, but he's not running quite right. But that's all right, we don't need it to run perfectly for now. As I was saying a minute ago, steering on these is quite heavy, particularly take in mind, we're on a concrete, smooth floor that's wet right now because we're trying to find a leak. Not exactly one finger effort, is it? What can we do about heavy steering? You need to do a parallel park somewhere. Well, believe it or not, the quickest and easiest way to get the steering wheel moving on a Scirocco is to move the car. See that? And now it's buttery. I'll come to a stop again. It's really heavy. You can hear how much effort I'm exerting. Right, get it rolling. So basically, when you're manoeuvring one of these old rigs, the trick is to just keep a little momentum up, really. I actually need to reverse this out of the workshop right now, so let's go. It's a good life when it wants to be. All right, I hope you found this helpful, I really do. If you've got any questions or anything further that you want to know, obviously, please do let me know in the comments. Do enjoy it. You will, I promise. You're going to have so much fun. It's going to be so rewarding daily driving something like this. Can you imagine the feeling you get when something like this is coming towards you on the road? You're now making that feeling for somebody else. All the while, you're keeping some old metal on the road, in spite of the fact that generally modern culture means that we should just be scrapping this stuff. Just get it in the bin. It needs a bit of work, throw it away. Well, I can assure you, it can take a challenge in life and make it something that's very, very rewarding indeed. Happy travels, most importantly, safe travels. Thank you for watching Saturday Club, and I'll see you on the next one, where we try and make those safe travels a little bit safer by teaching you how to brake down safely. Ooh, rainbow. I'm gonna have a coffee and sit and watch that rainbow until it fades away, I think. Have a lovely weekend, everybody.